So we got one more dashboard we're going to look at today, which encapsulates one other area of the system, and that's fixed assets. So this is an example of dashboard that your fixed assets manager or accountant in charge of fixed assets may be using to help do fixed assets or use the fixed asset features, keep an eye on what our fixed asset amounts are, and then also track depreciation from month to month. So we're going to start by actually adding a fixed asset into the module. And there's a few different ways to do that. I'm only going to show one because it's pretty similar across different ways. One way to do it is to be able to add it directly into the module itself. So if it was forgotten to be added earlier, it's we can always add it manually after fact. But what's really neat about the way this feature works in Intacct, you can add fixed assets directly through an AP bill or a purchase order. So you can add them as you're actually entering those transactions in the system. And that's what we're going to look at here is adding that fixed asset through the AP bill. And so when I click on there, it actually just brings me to the AP bill screen. We'll go ahead and take a look at one that's already been added just to save time here. So Danforth Centers, we went ahead and added bought a new asset from the vendor. And when your AP team is entering those bills, they don't necessarily have to know what the asset is or what it's supposed to be used for. Don't need to know its asset class. All they need to know is they need to where to code it. And that's one single account that allows it to sit there as an asset to be capitalized until your fixed assets manager can come in and actually place that asset in service. So it makes it really easy to be able to bring in those assets for AP bills without having to have a lot of information, a lot of knowledge about fixed assets. And so once this bill has been created and posted and approved, if it's going through an approval process, it then shows up on our assets waiting to be placed in service list here. So that bill is brought into this view. We'll go ahead and drill down onto it. So if we had multiple bills, if there was a multiple transactions, or if we were actually doing construction and process and ready to capitalize that, this is also how this would work. So you could have multiple bills being coded to a construction and process project and then capitalize it all at once when it's ready, and it'll track all the different bills that made up that capitalized asset. In this case, we're just looking at this one. And so when we're ready to do it already brought in some of the basic information from the AP bill, and we can go ahead and press place in service. And at this point, we're going to add in what it is. Maybe we bought a whole blood share. And then we want to add the asset class. So the asset class it helps determine where in the balance sheet it's gonna fall for our balance sheet account, GL accounts, and it also can determine what the useful life of that asset is. You're not constantly having to add in useful life, so you can go ahead and select predetermined ones based off what you've decided the useful life is for that type of supply or equipment. You can also add in the salvage value if you want. There's a lot of different optional fields here that really allows you to do some precise fixed asset tracking. So you could have different serial numbers, asset tags. You can track different dimensions here. Let's say maybe this is going to be used by our mobiles department, and maybe actually brought into for our pop-up center. So it's going to be traveling around our different centers. So that way we can track where this asset's actually being used. We can set a different capitalization date if we want it to be different than the bill date. So this is actually bringing it in from the bill date. That's fine. We'll leave it there. Then you can also track leasehold improvements. So maybe if this is a building or that you're leasing and you want to track those, you can do that as well. And then also track different maintenance information. Again, those are all optional fields. So that's you only have to track as much as you want to for a fixed asset. Ready to place it in service, we press yes. It takes a minute for it to upload it into the module. And once it's complete, it then is going to be with the rest of your assets in that module, falling under the correct asset class. Now it's been added. When we refresh this page, this will be falling off there, and it'll be on our asset management list, our fixed asset reports. So next, we can look at running depreciation directly from the system. It works pretty just as simple as adding an asset. When we want to post depreciation, because of all that work, because of the work we've already done when we added the asset with the useful life, the amount, if there's any salvage value, it's already looking at all that when it's running depreciation. So something that you don't have to do on the side, an Excel spreadsheet or manual calculations to figure out what that posting should be. And posting is pretty easy. It's going to automatically default to your next depreciable period. In this case, we're a little behind. We're in April of 22. That's fine. We'll go ahead and just post for that and keep going. So when we press this next button, it'll show us what the entry is going to be. So it's not just posting it blindly. So that way this gives a chance to review it, to make sure it actually looks accurate, make sure maybe there isn't an asset missing that we expected to be in there that got added. We can see what the asset classes are going to be, because it's a good graph there to show us. And we can also review the detailed posting data by class, make sure that this makes sense. The depreciation is going to code to the right dimensions. And it really just gives us that ability to do a really tight review before posting. So once we're done with our review, we can press post depreciation. It always likes to warn us to make sure our period is open. So we have the books open for this period. We can go ahead and continue. If we've closed the books, we can go back and open them to do this posting and then reclose them again afterward. And so from here, the system just does the rest. It's going to go ahead and do the calculation, do the posting, and then post that into the GL for us through the subledger. We don't have to stay on this page. We can keep working while it's doing that. And then once it's done, we can go ahead and then just refresh this page again, and it's going to show us our depreciation details on this depreciation expense on this report here. So we can just keep track of what our depreciation is from month to month, and be able to do any research we need to from there. So another feature that the fixed assets module has is being able to easily run year-end fixed asset reports. Whether we need it for our year-end close or audit or any other third-party reporting that wants to see our fixed assets, we can easily run the reports for the full year by using this roll forward report. I already have one generated for 2021, but we can always generate them for different years as needed. And when we click on this roll forward report, it gives us it generates a package for us that has all the reports we may need for a year end. So such as our depreciation expense report detail, we have our asset account report detail. It breaks out our assets by the different classes for when we need that as well. And it'll show you the beginning of the year, the additions and deletions, and then the end year-end balance, which is something that your auditors always love to have. So that comes right here at your fingertips with the roll forward report.